Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Monday News on my channel, Heidi's Corner, with me, Heidi. First off, I would like to introduce to you my lovely co-hosts, Stefan. There you go. Aww. And as always, lovely and always furry, Bertil. Hey. There we go. Okay, so this is the 25th episode of Monday News. This will, of course, will be a recorded episode, and this is once again due to my work schedules in my day job, or this is a recording due to the fact that on Monday this comes out, I will be at work working the night shift. So obviously I can't be in front of my computer filming for you. Those of you who have checked my playlists, and I've mentioned, this is the 25th episode of Monday News, and this has been obviously been going on for quite a few weeks, 25 consecutive weeks, every Monday. So why is this important? Why would I even mention this? And yeah, anyway, as I said, Freddie had HIV, and he then eventually he died of complications of AIDS. A bronchopneumonia was, I think, as I understand it, bronchopneumonia was, which typically you see it with someone who is immunocompromised, meaning typically someone with HIV, AIDS, and then he started exhibiting symptoms of HIV as early as, in early 80s. But this is just pure speculation. There is, well, not pure speculation. There's an author, two authors who wrote a biographical book who claimed I'm not sure if this really happened, but that Freddie visited a doctor in New York City, in secrecy. Well, not really a secrecy now that we know. It's of course now known, that he went to the doctors with this, that he visited a doctor secretly. It's not a secret anymore, at least, that it did. He got a white lesion on his tongue checked, which might have been hairy leukoplakia, one of the first signs of an infection, which is typically infections that are typically, as I understand it, typical to those who are immunocompromised. And this would have been Queen's final American appearance in 1982. And these writers said that Freddie had recently associated with someone who had been infected with HIV on the same day as their final US appearance. he began exhibiting symptoms later on. Anyway, this will be at least a two-part series, because there are at least two parts here, because there's so much to talk about, and if I were to push it all into one episode, it would be counterproductive. So as I said previously, this is, as you can see, a recorded episode. The reason is that on Friday I will be working the Friday-Saturday night shift. Hence, I cannot come and present this to you live, which really is a shame. I would have wanted to hear your thoughts live in the chat. This is a content warning. Please, if you are sensitive to description of violence, homophobia, etc., I suggest you move on to one of my other videos. Thank you. Yeah, so it's the 25th episode of Monday News. It's been going on for long enough. 25 consecutive weeks. And I want something new, something a bit more fresh on my channel. And what would this be? Yes, there will be this new show, new concept will replace Monday News as the Monday show. There will be 2 weekly shows from now on, but the new Monday show will be with a different name and different concept. All right. So this is all I'm gonna say at this point about this new show, but it will start the first episode of this new Monday show, which will be, of course, primarily live shows. And when I have to work my day job / night job, it will be a recording as you've seen so far, and it will be the recordings will be published, and the live shows will go live every Monday, 9 p.m. UK time. That would be 9 p.m. UK. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyway, let's go to the subject of today's video, shall we? Anyway, today the very unfortunate topic is a homophobic murder in Spain. The death of Samuel Luiz, and he was attacked and beaten. By the way, those who are sensitive to discussion about violence and death, I suggest you at this point you move on to another video, because this will feature talk of death, violence, and homophobia. So, as I said, the murder of Samuel Luiz, who was beaten to death by at this time, what I could gather, by 6 people. How in the fuck it's why such violence? Okay, let's go to I have a few articles for you about this, news articles from a few different news outlets. Okay, so here we have from El País. El País is a Spanish news outlet. Well, originally Spanish, but it has now, by now, it has obviously spread throughout the Latin or the Spanish-speaking world, which is rather large, as many of you may know. Spanish spoken in across the globe as native language. Okay, here we go. From El País, the title here is "Murder of Samuel Luiz Galvanizes Spain's LGBTQ+ community. There is no going back." Yes, that is correct. There is no going back. Like in Finland, in the summer of last year, in the summer in June of 2020, we had the Finland's first homophobic homicide, which sent shockwaves throughout the entire LGBTQ community in Finland. People were scared to go outside, etc., etc. And I understand where that's coming from. With the Spanish LGBT plus people here in the background. There you can see the picture there on the El País article. Okay, so the it's not alleged, but the alleged homophobic killing of a 24-year-old nurse has sparked an outpouring of support, with activists saying it marks a before and after for the movement. The movement being the LGBTQ plus human rights movement. All right, these kind of things change things. They change things how people think. Yes, this is protests against the text. Small text here says protests following the fatal beating of Samuel Luiz in Puerta del Sol, Madrid, taken by a photographer Bernard Armange from AP, Associated Press. All right. This was written by Antonio Jimenez Barca, A Coruña, July 12th of this year. So, just before Samuel Luiz was brutally beaten to death on July 3rd, so this was a bit over a month ago. I haven't touched on this subject before because I wanted to see how this develops into the point where we are now, and it's been a month and a half, about month and a half at this point. Okay, he and his just before Samuel Luiz was brutally beaten to death on July 3rd, he and his friend Lina made a video call to Vanessa Gonzalez. The time was 2:45 a.m. and they were on the seaside promenade of A Coruña, in a city in Spain's northwestern region of Galicia. The friends told Gonzalez that they were having a good time and that she had joined she had to join them because join them next time they went out. She was still on the line when Luiz was attacked, and listened as Lena described in disjointed snatches what was happening from the first punch to when he was brutally kicked to death by up to 7 people. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Seriously? 7 to 1, come on. And you kick a man on the street, fallen down. What the fuck is wrong with you? Come on, seriously? Going on. I can't explain it. No one can explain it precisely. And homophobia is not a reason. It's never a reason. You little fuckers. Okay? Gonzalez told El País on Thursday, the day after giving her statement to police. He was very thin. He didn't trouble anyone. He had never been assaulted by anyone. I heard him saying, "Please, please," but they kept going and going and going. The police are still investigating the killing of the 24-year-old nurse. 3 people have so far been sent to prison, and 2 others are in juvenile center. Apparently, it seems as if at least 2 of the 7 were minors, meaning typically under the age of 18. Here in Finland, the violence where perpetrators have been minors under the age of 18 have been on the increasing side of things here, and it seems that these perpetrators who were at least 2 of the 6 or 7 were minors, which is very, very disturbing enough. So what is happening here is still in many, many ways difficult to comprehend. That in a Western country like Spain, okay, their overwhelming majority are Catholics, but it's not always to blame. Not nearly always. But Spain is still a civilized Western country, and something like this shouldn't happen. Never. Why should it? And I think all of this shouldn't happen in Europe. I don't think so. On the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance, quite few are of these victims reported are Europeans. I'm not blaming that all. I'm not saying all non-Europeans are to blame. Of course not. But the overwhelming majority of the victims of transphobic and even homophobic murders, homicides, acts of violence are vast majority are outside Europe. So back to the article, okay? And the officers believe the attack was triggered by a misunderstanding. The trans and homophobes always say it's a misunderstanding. Why isn't it the misunderstanding, such the misunderstandings that lead to this kind of stuff? Why isn't it more often an excuse, a pathetic little excuse for the extremely violent homicides of straight people, cis straight people? Why is it not? Please tell me. By misunderstanding, one of Luiz's assailants believed that he was recording him when he was on a video call. Gonzalez, however, is convinced that the murder, this would have been Vanessa Gonzalez, is convinced that the murder was motivated by homophobia, given Luiz was gay. And LGBTQ plus groups across Spain agree. Okay, indeed, Luiz has become a symbol of the LGBTQ plus movement's fight for basic rights. Unfortunately, sometimes what it takes is someone's death for things to get better, unfortunately. Such as the rights to walk home safely without being assaulted, harassed, or insulted. Precisely. Okay, according to several leaders of these associations, his murder marks a before and after moment for the LGBTQ plus movement. It is a trigger in the same way the fatal shooting of Trayvon Martin in the United States sparked the Black Lives Matter movement, or murder of Ana Orantes. That I'll get back to that a bit later. All right, who was, if you are sensitive, even if you're still here listening after my warning of mentioning graphic content, please go somewhere else now. Okay, so who was burned alive by her ex-husband just days after denouncing his abuse on a television program. That little fucker, come on, who provoked a national reckoning about gender violence in Spain. Why, as I just asked, why would it always be? Why would it always require a trigger of some sort to spark a movement to remove or have some effect, and then the regular activism wouldn't have as much effect as these horrible murders? Being burnt alive or beaten, one man being beaten by 6 to 7 people. So anyway, and I quote, "This has shaken up something. It has been a kind of collective wake-up call in which very young people are saying that they are not going to accept anymore, that they are not going to tolerate another assault," says Jose Maria Nunez, the president of the NGO Triangulo Foundation, which defends the rights of LGBTQ plus people. It has been kind of catharsis for our world. There is no going back. This, as I see it, is the straw that broke the camel's back. This is exactly the kind of change that takes us to the right direction. It's younger and younger people saying, no more, enough No more. No more of this. And another generation, a new generation arises from shall we say, in some ways from the ashes of the legacy of their predecessors, or the older generation, which have set the way too far. All right. So we have another here, Eugeni Rodriguez, the president of Observatory Against Homophobia in Catalonia, agrees. These youngsters, and I quote, "These youngsters who go out in packs like in the case of Samuel. That's why the case of this boy has meant a change in paradigm." A before and after. Well said, Eugeni Rodriguez. All right. There has been outpouring in social media, LGBTQ plus groups in Galicia have been the first to feel the effects of this shockwave. Alexandre Garrido, 29, is the coordinator for Avante LGBT plus in Galicia. Says he knew at once that the brutal killing had changed something. The suddenly, and we go further into the article there. Suddenly, his Twitter feed was filled with messages from LGBTQ people denouncing the violence they had experienced, which I would say is a good sign. One tweet read, "I want to say, and I quote, I want to say sorry for not raising my voice at the time," would refer to the time they experienced the homophobic violence or harassment, at least. I go further to quote, "I was a coward and I stayed quiet out of fear. Unfortunately, I was a victim of a homophobic assault. I was surrounded by 5 people, 3 guys and 2 girls." Here we have it again. 5 against 1. And getting beaten the crap out of. And that is what's really, really upsetting me in these cases, alright? It's always these little fuckers go in groups. I asked the question, a rhetorical question from my audience, and a question directed directly to you, to those who, if for some reason you wish to watch a Finnish trans girl making videos, if you watch this video, please send me an email or leave a comment and explain yourself as to why do you always go in groups, never alone. But here it was, 3 guys, 2 girls. Why do you go or beat up one person or kill one person, or maybe 2? You go with a group of 5 to 10 maybe. Why are you such a coward that you don't even though you hate queer people so much, why would you go in a group? Why wouldn't you go in alone? Huh? I'm not encouraging you to go alone, but why are you going alone? Please tell me. Leave me a comment or send me an email. If someone of my LGBT friendly, LGBT supportive people, if you have an answer for me in this question, please comment in the comment section below, or send me an email if you wish to elaborate further. That what are those homophobes so afraid of? What are they so afraid of that they cannot go alone? Please tell me why. Elaborate further if you know. Anyway, this tweet. They went on to say that referring to these three guys and two girls, they came up behind me. They pushed me, surrounded me, and the guys were encouraged by the girls to punch me twice in the face, mess up the face of that. So, another victim said, and I quote, "When I was beaten up for holding the hand of my ex, the police told me that holding hands was being provocative. And in the ambulance, I was, in brackets, I was in shock. I couldn't even speak with my face covered in blood. The man told me that I should sign up for personal defense course because it was my fault." How in the fudge monkey brain would that be the victim's own fault? What a dick. Okay, some of the article goes on to say the story or the writing of this person apparently goes on to say some of the messages were about assaults that happened in the past, others were about more recent cases. But what is significant according to Garrido is that so many people have gone public. And I quote, "The murder of Samuel has been very traumatic for the whole collective. It has broken our sense of security. It doesn't necessarily mean a step backwards, but it could be. That depends on us. And when I say us, I mean all of the society." There he is, Samuel Luiz, a 24-year-old nurse. As if he wasn't doing enough for the society working as a nurse. Come on. The latest, according to El País, the latest statistics from the Interior Ministry, that is the Spanish Interior Ministry, shows that hate crimes and incidents recorded by the police and the civil guard increased by 6.8% in 2019 with respect to the year before. A total of 1,707 cases were reported, and of these 596 were for ideological reasons, 515 for xenophobia, and 278 for homophobia, which was a similar percentage to that of 2018. Apparently, there might not have been a specific figure for homophobia, but it included just those who are good in math. Just please do the math for me. How many percentage percent is 278 of 6.8%. That would give us probably the total percent figure of homophobic crimes of the entire figure of 6.8% in 2019. Okay, the Triangulo Foundation has more recent data, but it is no less clear. In 2018, 15 cases of homophobic assaults were processed. This number rose by 22 this number rose to 22 in 2019, 29 in 2020, and as of June 30th of this year, there have been 28. So the trend here is clearly on the rise. The problem is not only the assaults that are rising, said Raul Gonzalez, the vice president of the association, it's that they are more serious. The minority sector, which is against us, around 5% to 10% of society, has been emboldened by a far-right political group, Vox. Mr. Gonzalez goes on to explain that before it was politically incorrect to insult us, that was embarrassing for them. Not anymore. You are debating something. The problem in Catalonia, where an independence movement has deeply divided the region, for instance, on social media, and suddenly someone says, "Shut up, shut." So there you go. Silvia Tostada, 39, the president of Triangulo Foundation in Extremadura, agrees that Vox is fueling homophobia in the country, which isn't something new. That there's homophobia and homophobic legislation is on the rise in Europe, at least. I haven't kept a tab on the American situation, but I might go into that at some point on my channel on a different context. Silvia Tostada, the president of Triangulo Foundation in Extremadura, goes on to say that thanks to this far-right party, in every primary school, in every high school, there is always a guy or a girl who has the Spanish flag on a bracelet, a certain attitude, who always questions with the repeated discourse, repeated from memory, that didn't happen before, she said. Okay, so there's a clear trend of increasing homophobia. There's far-right party Vox has been seeking to make it more difficult for students to receive extracurricular courses aimed at fighting working against discrimination against LGBTQ plus people, people education that is often the key to all this LGBTQ plus phobic shit. It has been the same thing in Europe, across Europe. I've gone through it on my channel previously. which would, in especially the cases in Hungary and Poland, which the situation there is just absolutely horrendous. So it, as I said, it's unfortunately on the rise. On the rise in Europe, and I haven't really kept such a close tab on the situation in the US. But my understanding is that it's now getting really divided. The situation in the US, which may or may not be a bad thing. At least in the long run, because there's a more of a public discourse. It might not be such a bad such an issue, or that might advance the public shift the public opinion to the right direction, which or at least cause the clash of ideas, and then get it to the right direction. Carmen is quite right there, I think. I hope that in many other countries we would get more such ideology or not ideology. It's not. There's no gay agenda. There's no ideology behind it. It's just common sense and universal human rights. So there's a new quote unquote new LGBTQ plus law, and the Spanish cabinet, which is the lower cabinet, the lower house of the Spanish parliament, approved a bill at the end of July to 29th, a bill that seeks to extend and cement the rights of the LGBT plus community. That it would make it actually mandatory to discuss the gender the sexual diversity, and fine people up to 2,000 euros. That's some $2,300 US for those who live in the US, and which would then be extended to 10,000 euros, which is maybe 12,000 euros USD, for insults that are not withdrawn from social media, and reporting by Pilar Alvarez. And there's a long way before it becomes a law, it's a bill at this point. And a municipal police officer in Ansra Miranda, referred to in the article, is a municipal police officer in Madrid, and a member of the unit, a unit that tackles these homophobic and racist shitballs that go attacking people based on these reasons or pathetic excuses for a reason. Alright? She goes to explain that while hate is considered an aggravating factor and can lead to a longer prison term in case of a murder, when it comes to less serious offenses, as verbal punishments from region to region. This is due to the fact that Spain is a federal state, like somewhere in the neighborhood of what the United States of America is, or Mexico. In Madrid and Catalonia, culprits are fined, not in Galicia. Officer Miranda goes on to say that it's important for these infractions to carry fines to eradicate the problem from the state so that nothing is tolerated in terms of these racist and homophobic slurs. And she is also the spokesperson for the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual and Trans Federation, or FELGBTB, and the bill that passed the Spanish cabinet would introduce a uniform system for all of Spain, not just the regional rules, which may vary quite a bit. With respect to Luis's killing, Miranda has no doubt that it was a hate crime. No shit. Yeah. Miranda goes on to say it is an evident case, she says. The cruelty shown to the victim is symptomatic of this criminal point of view. The argument is set off by something minor, a video recording, something that should not have gone any further, but Samuel's killers, in her opinion, don't see Samuel as a person. They see someone gay and they objectify him. That's why they attack him. They wouldn't attack a person, but they attack an object, that's how they objectify gay people. In the meantime, the Triangular Foundation has been inundated with messages from people wanting to get involved in the fight to defend LGBTQ+ rights. One reads, "Hello, after what happened to Samuel, I want to do something to help the association." Another going to, "I'm moving to Salamanca and want to be an activist. Now more than ever, what can I do?" And this being English version is by Melissa Kitson. Anyway, so yeah, that's it with the article of El País. That, quite frankly, wasn't an easy read. Alright? It had so many things that were really, really, really disturbing. But giving you a bit more in this last episode, number 25 of Monday News, because this is an ongoing saga. There have been people arrested as of right now, as of 5th of June, July 5th of this year. There's been 6 people arrested. Anyway, as I said, I have a few more articles. Earlier I mentioned Deutsche Welle and then The Guardian. I'll go into an article dated July 5th of this year, written by John Sulato or Culato. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and I probably butchered that name, but hey. I will link these articles that I addressed in this episode. I will link them in the description box down below, which you can then click and go read yourself if you so wish. Okay. So here we have the article from deutschewelle.com. July 5th of this year. Okay, so police title is Police Investigate Possible Homophobic Murder in Spain. It's not suspected it was homophobic. Okay, I want to be very clear. Okay, so excuse me. This article that title is probably outdated, and that's why the wording is a bit off. But I think it was clear from the very beginning that this was a homophobic murder or homicide, what I want to call it, homicidal murder. Okay, and 6 people have been arrested, it goes on to say, over the death of Samuel Luiz, who was attacked outside a Spanish nightclub. Large protests call for justice in Madrid and Barcelona. There, people embracing each other in the middle of crisis, as you should. Authorities are looking at the Spanish authorities, I would assume that is both local and federal, at least local, but I should hope this would be both local and federal, and Guardia Civil. Okay, friends of 24-year-old Samuel Luiz first raised the alarm, claiming his death was motivated by homophobia, prompting demonstrations all over the country. Yeah, I am not surprised that it sparked all kinds of demonstrations. So, yeah, who knows? Anyway, left-wing members of Spain's government coalition condemned the death as a hate crime on Saturday, with police making 6 arrests so far. As I said previously in this episode as well, I cannot understand the cowardness. How cowardly, how much of a coward and a lowlife do you have to be to have 6 people attack 1 man? 6 of any 6 adults of any sex or gender attack 1 of any sex or gender, of any adult of any sex or gender. If it's 6 to 5, or sorry, 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, that is never fair. If we have like thin teenage girls, 6, going against a well-built adult male, it's still unfair to the man. Still unfair setting. And the guy is still an underdog, no matter what. Okay. What do we know so far? According to the report from Spanish daily El Mundo, Samuel Luiz was outside a nightclub in a Galician city of A Coruña at around 3 a.m. That is 0100 UTC on Saturday morning. Luiz's friends revealed the Spanish national newspaper he was video calling a friend when he was reportedly attacked by suspects who thought he was making a video of them. The attackers, apparently 5 or 6 of them, used derogatory words for homosexuals according to the Friends version of events. If that's not a homophobic setting to begin with, what is? Alright? The emergency services struggled to save Luis, who later died at La Coruña University Hospital complex. Unfortunate. He was 24 years old. And police have arrested 6 people, including 2 minors. Yeah, none of them knew the victim, although the police have still not labeled it a homophobic attack. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on, dicks. That's just afraid to say it because they're gonna piss off the right wing and the religious leaders who pay their salaries. Okay. Protesters in Madrid and Barcelona carried signs with slogans like "What they call you while they kill you matters." It does. And it matters if you kill someone or not. Alright, okay. What our officials and politicians say? We are at the early stages. Only the investigation will tell us whether it was a homophobic crime or not. Government delegate Jose Minones told the reporters. He asked for prudence when reporting against a murder. Of course, you have to be sensitive and take into consideration the friends and family of the deceased, of course. Minister for Equality Irene Montero said, "We must build among all of us a freer society in which we do not leave the room for hatred." Okay, this is Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, and who has condemned the attacks. At least he had the balls. Alright. Social rights minister Ione Belarra called the death a hate crime, which it is. You fucking dick shit. We want a country free of violence where everybody feels free to be who they are, she tweeted. And the Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has called the killing of Samuel Luiz a savage and merciless act, which it was. Thank you, Prime Minister. Okay. Yeah. So, what do we really learn? What have we learned so far? There are those. Well, there is no question. There is no doubt that Samuel Luiz was brutally beaten to death by 6 cowardly assailants, which is horrible in itself. Alright? Which should never have happened in the first place. Yeah, I'm not even sure what to say at this point. And how to describe it, but what have we learned? At least the vocal part of the Spanish society, including the prime minister, for example, the prime minister and the minister for equality, and social rights minister have condemned this as a homophobic attack, homophobic murder, and a cowardly thing to do. Okay. Then let's go to the final article for today, which is from The Guardian, which The Guardian is something, as you know, if you've been watching my Monday news, you'll know that it's one of the sources that I use quite often. Okay, here we have the Guardian article. At this point, 3 had been arrested. This is conflicting information, because the Deutsche Welle article said 6, and at this point, as far as I can tell, this is the day before. The Deutsche Welle article was published. Okay. This goes on to tell the basics of what happened. Samuel Luiz, 24-year-old nursing assistant, Galician city of A Coruña, early hours of wee hours of the morning on Saturday, started arguing with a number of people there. And he was having, as stated previously, he had a video call, alright? And then a few minutes later, then the assailants returned with 12 others who beat Luiz unconscious. So there wasn't actually, there were more than 6 apparently. At least at this point in this article, the information is that there were more, but eventually at least 6 were arrested. I am not sure whether or not these people, these lowlifes, have been charged with anything. Okay, and the Spain's Policía Nacional has said 3 have been arrested. Now we know it's at least 6. In a statement, the force said the 3 were aged between 20 and 25 and lived in A Coruña. And now we know that 2 eventually, at least 2 of the 3 that were arrested later on were are minors, and were at the time and probably currently spending time in a juvenile facility, whatever you wanna call them. Okay, and this just goes on to define a bit more detail that it has led to demonstration in A Coruña, which is to be expected, and then Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, Salamanca, and that I mentioned already, Bilbao, and Zaragoza. And demonstrators have been carrying signs with slogans including homophobia is killing us. The central government has been asked for explanation after some protesters in the capital were kettled and charged by riot police late on Monday. The Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, denounced the killing and offered his condolences to Luis's family and friends, going on to say in a tweet, "I am confident that the police investigation will soon find who murdered Samuel and shed light on what happened." He was tweeting on Monday. That would have been a few days prior to this article being written, and then he goes on to say it was a savage and merciless act, and then goes on, and then finishing up the tweet with, "We will not take a step backwards when it comes to rights and freedoms, and Spain will not tolerate this, and this should be exactly the case." And Jose Miñones, the central government's delegate to Galicia, said police were examining whether the attack was motivated by homophobia, adding that the investigation was a crucial stage. He said 15 people had given statements on what happened, and the security cameras are going to help us clarify what happened. He told Radio Voz on Tuesday, apparently a day or two prior to this article. Yeah, it came about a week, under a week after the Pride celebrations, and the Prime Minister Sanchez's socialist-led coalition government approved a draft law to protect and strengthen LGBTI people. Yeah. The campaigners went on to say that the attack was proof of violence to which LGBTI people are still subjected to. Unfortunately, this is the case. LGBTIQ plus people are more likely than any other group to be subjected to violence, both physical and psychological violence. And I will go on to quote a tweet. "We are being abused and murdered for being LGBTI. The State Federation of Lesbians, Gays and Bisexuals said in a statement on Twitter, 'We will not rest, and we should not.' And the Federation has also gone to say that events such as Pride made it easy to quote-unquote celebrate diversity for 1 month a year. This will not stop until we are 100% committed to it forever." I've heard someone say, and people might get pissed over this, but that the point of Pride events, that the point of Pride movement is to make itself useless. Make itself useless in the sense that it wouldn't be needed anymore because the Pride event, as we know, I've covered it on my channel, was sparked by police violence, discrimination, and violence towards LGBTQI plus people from Stonewall Inn in the wee hours of June 28th in 1969. That is 52 years ago, I think, if I'm not completely mistaken. Also, 60 something years, I think. 50. Yeah, alright, you'll correct me. Anyway, it was sparked by a police raid, and then trans sex workers who are trans women of color, and we still need the Pride events because the equality still isn't happening. Still isn't happening. And it's been so many decades since Stonewall. That is wrong to having to wait so long. Anyway, I'll finish up the article here. The Federation said that while events such as Pride made it easy to celebrate 1 month a year, this will not stop until we are 100% committed to it forever. A study published last year, that would have been 2020, by European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights found that 41% of those surveyed in Spain had experienced some form of harassment for being LGBTI in the previous 12 months. Yeah, 41%. That's a lot, I think. That's quite a bit, you know? It also found that 32% of respondents in Spain often or always avoided certain places or locations for fear of being assaulted, threatened, or harassed due to being LGBTI. Should this be the case? No, I don't think so. Anyway, that is it for the articles today, and my conclusions are here. This is clearly a homophobic murder. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt in my mind, or in anyone else's mind, that this crime had a homophobic motivation behind it, which is very unfortunate, of course, to the society as a whole, and just plainly sad. Just plainly sad, you know? Alright? But hey, that's why we still have activism, we still have the Pride event, Pride movement, etc., 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 until we have equality. Okay? There's in every piece of human rights that LGBTQ plus community has, that are even close to or are getting close to or are the same as cis straight people, is something worth celebrating. Okay, which is always inherently good, a good thing. That there is always hope for better, shall we say. Anyway, I would like now, this is it, what I have to offer you on this very last episode of Monday News. Now this marks a turning point on my channel. Next week Monday I'll start off with a new series, which I will publish later this week. This comes out on a Monday, so later this week. Anyway, this is the 25th episode of Monday News, and it's quite a bit. It's 25 consecutive weeks of Monday News. It's been fun, and I thank you all for watching. This is, as you know, this is another recorded episode, but I will see you live on Friday for another episode of History with Heidi. And I hope you enjoyed the History with Heidi episode on Freddie Mercury. There will be more History with Heidi episodes coming up about him a bit later, and I can reveal you that there is a pre-recorded Sunday specials episode coming up. You'll see the topic when it comes out, but I can tell you it's very, very very interesting, shall we say, and it has a someone very special might have appeared on camera. Who knows? Okay. So, anyway, thank you. I have, as always, my co-host Stefan, as you know, and then we have Bertil. Okay. Now, there we are then. I will see you on Friday for another episode of History with Heidi. It's live. See you guys. Lads and lassies.